Hi dear students, good morning. This is yours Allam Sai Krishna. Welcome to our online classes. First of all, wish you happy new year to everyone. We have to hope with this new year. Maybe we are expecting to change our education system. Means especially about the online classes. Yes, shortly we have to hope to start that offline classes when the government will take the decision. At the time our school also will start our offline classes. Yes, let us discuss our next chapter, laws of motion. In the previous classes we discussed the maximum basic concepts of the motion. Yes, in this chapter and in this class we have to discuss about the laws of motion, especially Newton's laws of motion. Three laws are there: Newton first law of motion, Newton second law of motion, Newton third law of motion. About that we have to discuss. Yes, before discuss the Newton first law, second law, third law, before that, what is meant by force? Yes, in the last year we already discussed one special chapter about that force also. Force nothing but push or pull. Push or pull. If you push or pull, that we have to consider as a what? Force, whatever it may be. Sir, both also, push and pull, both also we have to consider as a force. How can you push? How can you pull? It means just we have to transfer the energy. By the transfer of energy, we can push or pull. Yes. What are the units for that force? Newton, otherwise dynes. Newton, otherwise dynes. These are the units of the force. Newtons, otherwise dynes. Both also units for the force. These we have to represent with the F. F that is called what we know ma. F that is called what? Ma. Mass into acceleration. Mass into acceleration, that we have to keep in the mind. Yes, sir, why we are discussing about that force? Newton three laws of motion also depends on this force only. Depends on this force only. Yes, Newton first law of motion. Newton first law of motion. Yes. Again, Newton second law of motion. Second law of motion. Newton third law of motion. These three also depends on the force. Yes. Here again to explain about that Newton first law, second law, third law, the force is divided, otherwise classified into the two categories, two types. One only external force. One only external force. Yes, external force. Again one only internal force. Internal force. Yes. Force is dividing into the two types or two categories. One only external force, again one only internal force. Sir, what is meant by the external force? What is meant by the internal force? Just first of all, one example we have to take. You wanted to go to somewhere with your friends. Yes, here to from our school to Hyderabad. Yes, we planned for one picnic after the lot of days. Yes, here just we wanted to go to the film city. Yes, we all are sat in the bus, whatever it may be. Yes, but there is no chance to come the driver to start the bus. Just you are waiting 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. Yes, still now also is unavailable to start the bus. Just all our friends, they are so angry with the driver, and suddenly they are pushing the seats. Yes, pushing the seats with them legs at the time. Yes, all are pushing the seats with them legs at a time. They are kicking the seats with them legs. Yes, they are applying the force. That means internal. Yes, inside of the bus only they are applying the force at the time. Is there any chance to move the bus from one point to another point? There is no chance to move the bus from one point to another point. Sir, we applied a lot of force on the bus seat. On the bus seat we applied a lot of force on that. Is there any chance? There is no chance to move because of it is an internal force. You applied the force, whatever it may be, inside of the bus only you was applied. Due to that, there is no chance to move. There is no chance to change the position of that bus. Yes, the driver was observed what was done in the bus. Yes, just he was came to in seat and he wanted to try to start the bus. At the time there is a starting problem is there to start the bus. At the time what we have to do? Yes, all the students should be come out and stand behind of the bus and try to push like that. Yes. Dig, 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 bus will be start. At the time what happened? The bus is moved somewhat front. How it is possible here? Yes, here you was applied that which kind of the force? External force. That's mean when you stand behind of the bus and you was pushed, at the time bus only there is chance to move, change its position. In this situation you was applied the external force. When we apply any external force on any object, at the time only object can be changed its position, object can be changed its state. As when you apply that internal force, there is no chance to change its position. Yes, there is no chance to change its state. That's why these two different kinds of the forces also important. When we have to change any object to position, mean we have to apply the which kind of the force? External force only we have to apply, not internal force. Yes, any object inside particles, if they apply that any energy, whatever it may be, there is no chance to change its position. But if you apply some force from the outside, if you apply some force from the outside, at the time there is a chance to move. There is a chance to move somewhat as a front. This is which kind of the force? External force is here. If you applied internal force which is present inside, there is no chance to change its position. Yes, that's we have to try to keep in the mind. Yes, to change any object to position, we have to apply the which force? External force only we have to apply. That's why we specially discussed about that external force and internal force. Now let us discuss about the Newton's first law of motion. What? Newton's first law of motion. What is meant by the Newton's first law of motion? Without applying any external force, object always in the rest position, otherwise in the uniform motion. Without applying of any external force on the object always in the rest position, otherwise it is in the uniform motion. Yes, this is what Newton's first law of motion. Which motion? Newton's first law of motion. Here just we have to see, suppose here one object is here on the table. Yes, no one is applying that any force on this object which is present on the table. Will it move? Is there any chance to move? As we are waiting 1 day and 2 days, 3 days, how many days also without applying of any external force on this object? Any external force on this object, at that situation there is no chance to move from one point to another point. Yes, that is by Newton's first law of motion. Again, suppose one bus is moving with uniform motion. In the previous class we discussed uniform motion means equal distance, equal time. Equal time, equal distance. It is in which motion? Uniform motion. There is no external force on this bus. there is no any other forces on this bus. At that situation, always the bus only moving with uniform motion. That means suppose its velocity is 60 km per hour. For that 60 km per hour, always it should be moved with 60 km per hour in every second, every hour. There is no chance to change in the velocity. That's way it is moving in. Where? Moving in uniform motion. Yes, without applying of any external force on any object. If it is in the rest position, it should be always in the rest position. If it is in the uniform motion, always it is in the uniform motion according to the Newton first law of motion. This Newton first law of motion should be depends on inertia. Otherwise this Newton first law of motion also considered as a law of inertia. Yes, this Newton first law of motion also considered as a law of inertia. Sir, what is meant by the inertia? Not accepting the change. Not accepting the change. Not accepting the change. Yes, it can't accepting its change, that we have to consider as a inertia. Not accepting the change, we have to consider as a what? Inertia only. This inertia should be depends on the mass. Inertia is depends on the mass only. Suppose 4 kilogram object is here, 10 kilogram object is here. 4 kilograms object is here, 10 kilograms object is here. Yes, which mass is more, its inertia is more. Which mass is less, its inertia is less. Yes, 4 kilograms mass is very less, inertia is less. 10 kilograms mass is more, its inertia is more. Because of inertia is depends on the mass only. Inertia is depends on the mass only. That we have to keep in the mind. Is this inertia is different types. Is inertia is classified into the different types. That about we have to discuss now. Yes. Law of inertia is 3 types. Inertia of rest, inertia of motion, inertia of direction. Yes. Yes, inertia of rest, inertia of motion, inertia of direction. Yes. What is meant by inertia of rest? General example we have to see. Inertia, I told, not accepting the change. Not accepting the change. Inertia of rest, just we want you to go to somewhere from both to Nirmal. Both to Nirmal, just we are getting into the bus and we sat in the bus only. Otherwise, just you try to stand in the bus. Yes. Bus is in the rest position. There is no available of the driver. The bus is in the rest position. Just you are standing is in the bus and watching your mobile phone like this only. As the driver suddenly came into the bus and you start the bus. As the bus is try to move somewhat forward, at the time you will fall back. Suddenly if the bus is started, that means bus is moving somewhat forward, that means the forward direction. At that situation you will be fall back. Why you are falling back? Here mean up to that the bus is in the rest position, your body also in the rest position. Yes. Now the bus is comes into the motion, but your body will not accept to comes into the motion. Again it wanted to stay into the rest position. Due to that only, when the bus is started, at the time you will be fall back like that only. Yes, you feel this experience a lot of time. That is inertia of the rest only. Bus is try to move into forward as your body will not accept, it will be fall back only as it is the inertia of rest. Again, the bus is moving with 60 km per hour, 70, 80, 90, 100 km per hour. It's moving with a high velocity. Till now also you are watching that mobile like that only. Bus is moving with velocity 100 km per hour with high velocity. Yes, bus. Suddenly the driver was keep the brakes. At the time what will happen? The bus wants to come into the rest position. Yes, at that situation you will be fall somewhat at the front. Yes, the bus is moving. Suddenly you was keep the brake, mean you will fall somewhat at the front like that. Why? Because of now in this situation the bus want to come into the rest position, but your body up to now in the motion, so your body will not accept the change. Due to that only, again if the bus is comes into the rest, but your body will be moved somewhat at the front like that only. Yes, this is the inertia of motion. In the first situation, bus is want you to try to move somewhat forward, your body will be come back, fall back. Yes, in this situation, bus want to come into rest position, but your body will be moved somewhat forward. Yes, it is an inertia of motion. Next one, inertia of direction. Yes, our Mahabuba Ghats are there while we go to Nirmal. At the time, like this only turnings are here. At that situation, if the bus is moving towards of right, mean our body will be bent towards of left. If the bus is moving towards of the left, our body will be fall towards of the right. In the opposite direction, bus is moving towards of right, mean your body will fall towards of the left. If the bus is moving towards of the left, your body will fall either towards of the right. As you feel of this experience in lot of time, as if you go once more to the Nirmal, at the time also you try to observe your body position when the bus is traveling in the Mahabuba Ghats. This is an example of inertia of direction. At that situation, bus is bending towards of right, your body will not accept, it should be bent towards of the left only. If the bus is bending towards of the left, your body will not accept, it wants to bend towards of the right. As in these three situations, when it is in the rest, when it is in the motion, when it is changing in the direction, our body will not accept the change. That's why we have to consider the inertia of rest, inertia of motion, inertia of the direction. As we can experience a lot of examples by these concepts. Remaining concepts we have to discuss in the next class. Thank you so much.